welcome to Glecta. I hope you guys all can hear me, right? I would want everyone to text me, all right? I want everyone to be active on text. Or you can give me a thumbs up and thumbs down every time. I am seeing a lot of new faces as well as a lot of people I already know. Very nice. Okay, I see new people as well. So for those of you who do not know me, my name is Alina. And for those of you who know me, you know that I'm going to be taking your math lesson, right? So everyone, welcome to this class. And first of all, congratulations to those who have cleared the stage 1 exam. Yeah, St. Olave's. Yes, and for Tiffins also, your results would be out very, very soon. You guys know the dates of your exam, right? Everyone, text me, tell me, do you guys know the date of your exam? Yes. Okay, let me see what people are saying on text. Yeah, so Rudra says yes, Jason says yes. So tell me, what's the date of your test? No? Oh, you guys are just saying yes. Saint Allah's test is on 17th of November. And Tiffin's exam is on 9th November. Yes. Rahisha says, I don't know when the results are going to come out. Darling, for Saint Allah's, the results are already out. And for Tiffin's stage 1, the results would be out very soon, probably tomorrow. I cannot assure you. Do not blame me if you say, Miss, you said tomorrow and the results are not out. Anyway, I guess you already know who Glecta is, right? You're taking classes with us. We have been taking online classes, and now, we have been taking face-to-face classes as well, right? And what you'd be learning in this specific course, when I talk about mathematics, because now I'm going to be guiding you about the stage 2 exam, right? And there is a proper technique that you should be aware of. So over here, starting with the main subsections of mathematics, all right? So over here, first section is numbers. I'm going to be telling you about section-wise that what we are going to learn, right? In numbers, you'd be learning about fractions, decimals, percentages, factors, multiples, squares, and there are more of like mental math shortcuts as well. I will be making you do a few shortcuts today, and when you'd be taking more classes with us, I'd be telling you about more, calculator methods over there as well, right? I would want you guys to be active on the text, right? If in case you have any questions, keep popping in your questions. I don't mind that, right? And then second section is about measurements. As the name suggests, of course, area, perimeter, volume, those kinds of, topics come under this section. Then third one is algebra, like the most important section, because this section is not really covered in school up till year 5. You know that you have not learned algebra in school. So what kind of questions are really asked in the exam? There would be questions where you'd be forming equations, solving equations, simultaneous equations, right? These are advanced level, and you will be having word problems from this part, right? You usually have 1 mark or 2 mark kinds of questions in stage 2, but there could be some case studies as well. Now, what do we actually mean by case study? There could be a possibility that there would be a word problem that is given to you, and on the basis of that word problem, like a situation is given to you, and on the basis of that situation, there are 2-3 sub parts, you can say, or 2-3 questions on the basis of that word problem, which would be formed from that part, right? Like 2 marks each question. So that one word problem becomes like a 5 mark or a 6 mark problem then. And you have to be very careful in those kinds of questions, because if in case you answer the A part incorrectly, then the B part, then the C part, that would be affected. So you have to be really careful while doing algebra, right? Right now, I'm just generalizing, and then I'll be telling you more about, the questions and everything that we'd be doing today. Then the next concept that we'd be learning, geometry. In geometry, of course, the angles, the rules that you have, like for example, if I draw a triangle, you guys know the sum of all the angles in a triangle, right? The basic rules, and then what kind of rules can be applied and what kind of questions. That's what you'd be learning. So now if I ask you guys, okay, what's the sum of all the angles in a triangle? Okay, over here, Raisha says that she doesn't really like algebra. Darling, don't worry. When you'd be doing it with me, you'll love algebra. I promise you. All right. Okay, now I have asked you a question, everyone. Tell me, those of you who know the answer, what's the sum of all the angles inside a triangle. Can anyone tell me? Let's see who answers me first. All right, Mahab has given me the correct answer. 180 degrees, correct. I would want everyone to be active on the textbooks. All right, then the next part that you'd be learning about, like I was telling you about geometry, of course, right? So that's just about triangles. Then properties of parallelogram, opposite sides, equal and parallel, how we are working the angles in that, all those kinds of questions. Then the next topic is data handling, right? In data handling, it's more of like about statistics, how you calculate the mean, mode, median. Now, of course, that was there in your stage 1 exam as well. It's just that if you're sitting for stage 2, of course, the questions would be slightly more tricky then, right? So you'd be having a little tricky questions about mean, mode, median, and everything, right? And in the end, then once you're done with all these topics with me, right, you'd be doing a mock test with me. So it would be like, the pattern would, you'd get an idea of the pattern and everything. I can see a few participants that are raising hand. Dear, if you have any questions, please drop it on the chat box over here, right? We have, like sometimes to avoid spammers and everything, we have to keep everyone on mute. Even I'm not enjoying that you guys are not speaking over here, right? But I hope you guys understand. So if you want me to answer any of your questions, if you have to ask anything, please drop it on the chat box over here, right? And if you want me to, if you guys are understanding or not understanding, on your screen, you can give me a thumbs up, thumbs down. I would see each and every one of you. I'll try to see each and every one of you, although there are many. Okay, those of you who have turned on their cameras, of course, I can see you guys, right? And in the chat box, if you see, you would see a link that is provided to you, right? I would want everyone after the session, not right now, of course, the session is still going, but after the session, please save that link, click on that link, and there would be a feedback form. And along with that feedback form, a mock test would also be attached along with the answer key, right? So make sure that everyone is giving us their valuable feedbacks, and you'd be getting the answer key to the mock test as well. So make sure that you save the link, but later. Right now, first you have to do some questions with me, First learn something with me, and then you'd be doing those questions, right? So over here, I'm going to be starting with some 3 mental math techniques. Now, how many of you consider yourselves good in mental math? Raise your hand, or like you can raise on Zoom chat, Zoom box over here as well, or you can raise it physically as well if you have turned on your cameras. Okay, I can see Tanesh, Raisha, Harsh, Devya. All right, you guys are saying that you're good with mental math. All right. So now, if I'm going to be asking you some questions, right? First trick that I'll be doing is a square trick, right? How we calculate squares of a numbers very quickly. Now, can anybody tell me like what would be 55 square? I'm giving you 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The answer is 3025. Okay, next number. If I ask you guys what's 75 square, I want your answer in 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The answer is 5625. Now you'd be like, Miss, how are you doing it so quickly? Right. Okay, so one person has given me the correct answer, Jason. Okay, Jason is our regular student. No, you have already learned this trick then in our classes. Okay, this is a shortcut that I'll be sharing. This is for a number which ends with digit 5. How do we do it? You guys know that 5 square. What's 5 square? 5 square is 25, right? So over here, when I have 5 square, observe a pattern, 25, 25. So of course, the last 2 digits that I'll be having, they would be 25. And then for the first 2 digits, whatever number is written at the 10th place, you multiply it by the number which comes after that in the counting, right? So after 5, we have a 6. So you would do 5 times 6, which gives us 30. So my answer becomes 3025. Then after 7, we have 8. So 7 times 8, 56. Your answer becomes 5625. Then after 6, Yadi is asking me, does it work with other numbers? Dear, this is a shortcut that I'm sharing for numbers ending with 5. All right. Now, there are different numbers, different shortcuts. All right. So for after 6, we have a 7. 6 times 7, 42. All right. Now I'm going to be asking you one question. Let's see who gives me the answer first. So if I want to calculate 105 square, yeah, tell me. 105 square. Come on, quick. Very good. Very good. You guys are giving me correct answers. 1025. Correct. Good. All right. Let's move on to the next one. The next shortcut, the second one that we have is related to percentages. Now, of course, nobody would like to do this kind of multiplication, no? 12.5, 256, no. When we talk about percentages, like, let me explain you the basics first. 20% of 30, right? Over here, 20% of 30 means you're doing 20%, means over 100 times 30. And then you solve it and get your answer as 6. But a shortcut that you can always use is that whenever you have numbers ending with zeros, you can always cross out those zeros. So when I do 20% of, let's say I'm doing 80, ignore the zeros. Both of them are like ending with zeros. You just have to do 2 times 8, 16. Calculate it mentally within not even 5, come on, 2 seconds, right? So if I want to do 30% of 70, 3 times 7, 21, done mentally. 40% of 90, 4 times 9, 36. That's my answer. Even if my number does not end with zeros, I can get it in this form, no? Like, for example, if I do 45% of, let's say I'm doing 120, right? Now, 45%, what's 45%? It's half of 90. Again, I have to be, I have to avoid any kind of long calculation, be lazy in math, come on, right? So when I'm doing half of 90% of 120, now you can easily do 9 times 12. 9 times 12, 108. And you do half of 108, which is 54. That's what you're getting. All right, I'm receiving a lot of questions. Answers. Yes, you guys are getting it. So this is how we do it normally, right? That's what we mean by percentages. Now, what's the shortcut over here? This is called the double and half shortcut, right? Whenever you have these kinds of numbers like 12.5, 3.5%, whenever you have a 0.5 thing, times this by 2 and take half of it, right? So 12.5, double is 25. Half of 256, we have 128, right? Now it's much more easier to calculate. Remember your standard percentages. 25% represents a quarter. 50% represents a half. And 75% represents 3/4. Right? So that's what you have to do over here. So you're doing a quarter of 128. In math, of always means multiplication. So you just divide it by 4. That's it. So you could be doing 32. And I could see many of you were getting 32, but I'm not sure how many of you actually use this shortcut, right? Or maybe you just calculated it all the time I was explaining it. All right. So, okay, I hope everyone is noting down as well. In case you guys have any queries anywhere, as I said, you can text me and you guys can keep taking screenshots as well. That's much more easier for you guys. All right. Okay. So over here, Raisha says that she used the shortcut. All right. Great. And as I said, that you guys can keep noting it down, keep taking screenshots as well. All right. Coming to the next one, trick number 3 that we have, again, of percentages. When we do X% of Y, it's same as Y% of X. All right, easiest way. So over here, you just have to do 50%. 50%, I just told you, right? 50% is a half. So you just have to do half of 248. So that would give you your answer as 124. Simple, right? So if I have to do things like if I'm doing, let's say, 68% of 50, guys, tell me your answer very quick. Come on. 68% of 50. Yes, good. I'm getting correct answers. You guys are giving me 34. Very good. I hope you guys enjoyed these shortcuts that I told you, right? Yeah, we would be learning more mental math and everything, right? And in case you want to see more of these kinds of shortcuts, a lot of videos are already uploaded on our YouTube channel as well. You can always refer that. Right now, I'm specifically talking about the stage 2 exam that you'd be having. You guys should know the pattern of the paper, everything about the paper, all right? It's about, targeting it accordingly. Your speed matters a lot. All right. So in your entire 60 minutes of your time, your exam paper would be of 60 minutes. Always start with the question that you are confident about. In case you ever feel like, okay, this question is taking too much of time, skip that question, move on to the next one. Do not spend more than like 3-4 minutes in a specific question if you're not really confident about that either. You can always come back to the questions, and once you're done with all the questions that you were confident about, and then the questions that you were a little dicey, okay, how to do this question or that way, you can always come back later, right? But first attempt that specific question which you're really very confident about. Also, there would be no calculators that would be allowed. So that's why I'm teaching you mental math. Definitely learn those mental math shortcuts. Till now, you have been giving MCQs. One thing that you have to keep in your mind, everyone, and mark my words, the writings that you'd be doing, the workings, they are important. There would be step marking. So make sure that you're showing your workings clearly. In case you do not, if in case you miss out on any particular step, you might lose a mark or two. And of course, nobody would want that, right? So make sure that you are showing your workings. It's not about that the paper is going to be very difficult or so. It's about time management, right? You guys have cleared your stage 1 exam as well. You are confident about your, let's say, the content that you have studied, right? You know about the topics. You can do the questions, right? Apart from that, what's more important? Time management, how you are able to present your answers, the way you're going to show your workings. That's really very important. There would be like graphical questions. There is a little difference in the pattern of St. Olave's and Tiffin's. Like when we talk about the graphical questions, they could be there in St. Olave's, but Tiffin's school not really, asks a lot of questions that are based on the coordinates, graphical parts, and all of that, right? So there is a little bit of difference. Of course, when we'd be doing it topic wise, I'll be guiding about it in the classes itself. But over here, right now, I'm doing it in general. But otherwise, when you'd be taking classes with us, there would be separate classes for St. Olave's and separate classes for Tiffin's. All right. Okay. Also, in front of every slide, you see you see this, the numbers that are mentioned. In case anyone has any queries, you guys can, text these given numbers. Just 1 second now. Okay. Yeah, this is one setting that I had to disable because I could see you guys were writing on the screen. Please do not write on the screen. Let me write on the screen. Otherwise, everybody would be like, okay, Miss is writing these solutions. And in case anyone wrote an incorrect answer, oh my God, people are going to think that I wrote an incorrect answer. So if you want to give me an answer, guys, please text me. All right. If you have any questions, again, text me. But nobody shall write on the screen, and nobody can now because I've disabled the settings. All right, let's get started with these questions. X, Y, Z are positive numbers, and we are given 3 equations over here. Now, what you have to do is you have to figure out what would be the value of X, Y, Z square. I'm going to give you guys 20 seconds. Come on. Those of you who think that they can do the question, you guys have to do it. Come on, I'm giving you guys 20 seconds. Come on, come on, come on. I'm waiting, I'm waiting. Okay, you guys are getting certain answers. I don't want to speak it out loud so that the ones who are attempting it, are able to do it. Wait, why are you getting these answers? You have to find out the value of X, Y, Z square. You guys are getting different answers. 54, 84, 34, 36. You do not have to calculate the value of X, Y, and Z. All right. Till now, only Sanal has given me the correct answer. All right. Now see everyone, how we are going to do these. These are square numbers that we are talking about, right? We are given X times Y is 6. Y times Z is 27. Z times X is 2. Now the thing is, in the question, they're asking about the product of all 3 multiples, X, Y, as well as Z, right? How do I get to all 3? Multiply all the equations. Now, when I'm saying you multiply the equations, you multiply the left sides with the left side and the right sides with the right side. So when I multiply the equation, first equation has x and y, right? Then second equation has y and z. And then the third equation has z and x, right? And if I talk about the right side that we have, the right side we have 6, 27, and 2. So now see, 2 times 2, that's 4. I mean 2 square. 5 times 5, 5 square. 6 times 6, 6 square. So over here, when I'd be doing x times x, that's gonna be x squared. Y times y, y squared. Z times z, z squared. Square numbers are those numbers which are multiplied by themselves twice. All right. So that's how you'd be doing this question. All right. Yeah, now everyone is getting the correct answer when I've started to explain the technique. Right. So over here, you just have to multiply your right side. So when you solve this, 27 times 2 is 54. 54 times 6 gives you 324. Now, this is nothing but square of all x, y, and z. Because this, what does x, y, z square means? You're doing x, y, z times x, y, z. You're multiplying the same number by itself twice, right? So x times x, x squared. Y times y, y squared. Z times z, z squared. Oh my God, that looks like a lot of things messed up on the screen. But yeah, I hope you guys understood this concept. And we are getting this way, we are getting the answer as 324. Now guys, tell me, thumbs up, thumbs down. Tell me. And keep texting me as well. Yes, miss, we understood. No, miss, we want you to repeat it. In case you want me to repeat as well, you guys can let me know. I don't mind repeating it. If anyone has any query, please text me. All right, I'm here to help you guys. All right, I think you guys are doing good because everyone is texting that they're okay with this. All right, so okay, over here, all right, I've got a request to repeat it. So all you got to do over here is multiply the 3 equations. When we do square, we are doing xyz times xyz, right? So that means I'm multiplying x by itself twice, y by itself twice, and z by itself twice. So I'm writing it twice every single time. So that's why to multiply each and every one twice, x times x. How do I get x times x? I multiplied all the 3 equations together. And when I multiplied the right sides, 6 times 27 times 2. That's how you get your answer as 324. So that's your answer. Like I said, it's not a very difficult question, but over here, you would just have to see a little bit how you can manage it, right? It's an easy one otherwise. All right. Now let's move on to the next one. Everyone, ready? I'm switching the slides in case anyone has to take a screenshot. Switching the slides in 3, 2, 1, and there you go. The next one. The diagram below over, okay, sorry, 1 second. If xyz squared is 324, what is xyz? Because 324 is not a square number. That's one question that I have received from Mohab. All right, so over here, my question does not really say that I have to calculate the square root of it. My question does not ask me to solve for xyz. It's just asking for xyz square, which I'm getting as 324. Yes, it's not a square number, but it's not necessary that we are always going to, get square numbers as our answers. All right, when you do it on your calculator, you would find when you do square root of 324, you will be getting a certain value on your calculator. All right, that would be just in decimals. That's it. So it's okay because square numbers are those numbers which are the squares of whole numbers, you can say, like 3 square 9. So 9 is a whole number, but that doesn't, 9 is a square number, but that does not mean that square root of 10, square root of 11 does not exist. All right, you will be still getting square root of 10, square root of 12, and so on. All right, now coming on to the next question. The diagram below shows 2 identical squares meeting at one of their corners. Find me. Now, this was the geometry that I was talking about, right? How you can apply your rules. Now, everyone tell me, what's the angle? What's the angle of a square? What's each, and like over here, what does this angle in the square represent? And tell me over here to find out the value of B. What kind of triangle do you think it is? You know your types of triangles, right? Scalene, equilateral triangle, then there is isosceles triangle. So can anybody answer me these two questions? All right, I can see you guys, Priya and Sahan, you guys are saying isosceles triangle. All right, I would agree. Okay, and you guys are saying 90 degrees. Absolutely, everyone is giving me the correct answer. In a square, all the angles are 90 degrees. Property of squares and rectangles, right? So these angles are definitely 90 degrees. Now, the question says that these two squares that we have, these are identical. Identical means overlap each other, right? Now, like when you join your two hands, everyone. You see your fingers overlap. I mean, not your fingers technically, but your hands overlap each other. Now, it's not like that you have all the same fingers or all the fingers of same length. No, not at all, right? Your forefinger overlaps with the forefinger. Your middle finger overlaps with the middle finger. See that, right? So this is called corresponding parts being equal. You would learn about it in detail when you'd be doing other shapes. In a square, all the sides are equal, so that's fine. This side that I'm marking would be equal to this side. This small line that I'm drawing, that represents that these are equal. All right. And if I'm saying that these are equilateral, I mean, not equilateral, sorry, these are equal sides. That means the angles will also be equal. So that means this angle is also B. Now, of course, you know your property of your triangles. I'll tell you by the standard method, and then I'll tell you how you can use your shortcut as well. All right. So over here, first of all, you have to find out this angle X. How will we find that out? Around a point, the total of the angles that we have around the point, that's 360 degrees. So I have 138 degrees. I have these two 90-degree angles. Then I have this X as well, right? The total must add up to 360 degrees. So over here, first you'll be calculating the value of X. How are you guys getting 670? No, 670 does not seem to be the answer. All right. Okay, I see that you guys are giving me answers, but 670, no. Okay, that must be the sign of degrees, I think, that you were trying to draw. But okay, so over here, the value of X that we'd be getting, guys, that would be 42 degrees. I asked you the value of X, not the value of B. You guys are giving me the value of B, but good for those who have calculated it. Good. Now over here, sum of all the angles in a triangle, that you know is 180 degrees, right? So you would be doing 180, take away 42, right? Now, this shortcut that you can learn now, you have found out this value of 42. You know that B plus 42, that's 180 degrees. You would add them up. But learn this as a shortcut. Whenever you have an isosceles triangle, and you have to figure out the missing angle. One angle is given to you, but the other angles, the angles which are equal to each other, those are missing. So you always do 180, take away whatever angle is given to you, divided by 2. Try to get your answer in one single step. In case you're confused, of course, you can, follow up the entire procedure, like write down the equations and everything. But this is what I would be preferring, right? So you guys have given me the correct answer. The correct answer for this one is 69 degrees. So kudos to you guys who are getting the correct answer. Good. All right. I'm not sure why people are getting 70 or 79 degrees. That's not the answer. The correct answer is 69 degrees, everyone. All right. I hope you guys are done taking screenshots as well. And I'm telling you again, in case somebody joined late, on your chat box only, if you scroll a little up, from the team's side, you would have received a link, all right? Make sure that you're filling the feedback link. That's really valuable to us. And you will be getting the answer key of the mock test as well. In case you have any queries regarding the classes, the schedules, the course details, you can WhatsApp on the numbers that are given below. You guys are taking screenshots for your notes, right? So make sure that you are, texting your queries on these numbers. All right, now let's move on to the next one. Over here, calculate the perimeter of the shape below. Now, what I have seen is that people start thinking that, okay, we have to calculate this value, this value, this value. And then they would be like, okay, miss, we are not given anything about it. How will we calculate this value? The thing is that you do not need these values in these kinds of questions. If it was a question about area, definitely you need the individual lengths. But this is a question about perimeter. You see, this entire side That's 8 centimeters. So this, and this. I hope you guys understand what I mean by this, and this, right? So over here, these red lengths that I have marked, they must add up to 8 centimeters in total. Similarly, now let me choose a different color, blue one. So this blue, and this blue. That's nothing but this entire height, no? So these blue lengths in the left side must be adding up to a total of 9 centimeters, right? My drawing skills are not really great, so you guys have to bear a little bit about my drawing skills. But over here, this is what you're doing. You're adding 8 and 9, and then 8 and 9 again. So you're adding them up twice. So you're doing 2 times 17, which gives you the answer as 34 centimeters. Now, okay, I can see a lot of you people have given me the correct answer. Very good. I have a class of smart and intelligent students right now over here. Very good, everyone. All right. Now moving on to the next one. Okay, you guys are, I think, good with geometry part. I can see that you guys are giving me correct answers for geometry. I would want you guys to try it out. I'm giving you 30 seconds. Come on. Time management, like I said, you guys have 30 seconds. I'm going to have my quick little break. Till then, you guys have 30 seconds to quickly give me the answers. All right, and I'm going to be seeing your answers on the chat box. Okay, you guys are getting correct answers. Great. I hope you guys cannot see the chat box. Can you? If I move it left or right, or if I move it in the center, can you guys see the chat box actually? Okay, you guys cannot see it. Great, then I can keep it in my center only then. Yeah, all right. And those of you who are getting 100 or 9, there, that's not the correct answer. Okay, Zixigang, that's Zixiang, I'm so sorry. You say that you can't see the Zoom chat box. Okay, I do not want you guys to see each other's answers then. Okay, some of you can, some of you can't. All right, no problem. I'll better hide it then. Okay, now moving on to this, like this particular concept. The diagram shows 4 identical white rectangles around a black square. Over here, you know that area of a square, that's equal to side times side, right? You do length times width when you do it. So technically, you need this red length that we have over here, right? So over here, these are identical. Over here, identical means that the lengths must be the same one, right? So of course, this cannot be 3 centimeters. Clearly, just like I gave you an example of joining your hands. Your forefinger overlaps with the forefinger. That's when we say that our hands are identical. So over here, the longer length would overlap with the longer length only. So this must be 7 centimeters only, right? This is going to be 3 centimeters. This is going to be 7 over here, right? So over here, this total length is 7 and this length is 3 over here. So 7 take away 3, 4. And of course, side times side. That's what you have to do. 4 times 4, that's equal to 16 centimeter square. Yeah, this one was an easy one, right? Everyone getting correct answers? Yes, it is. Everyone are getting it. Sarah, you have texted me that you do not get it, but now do you get it when once I have explained it to you, dear? Please let me know if you guys understand it or not. You guys are getting it? Yes. All right, great. Okay, now let's move on to the next question, everyone, over here. This is about algebra, simplifying terms, writing about expressions and equations. All right, now over here in algebra, learn one simple way of adding terms. Although my drawing skills are not really great, but over here, I hope you guys can guess what I'm trying to draw. This is an apple. How many apples do I have? Let's say I'm representing each apple by letter A. So I have a total of 2 apples. So I can represent it by 2A. All right. Now over here, when I draw one more apple, or let's say I'm drawing 2 more apples, right? So 2A plus 2A. I have total of 4 apples on the screen, right? Similarly, when I draw a banana, although my drawing skills, like I said, not very great. So over here, B and B, they add up to 2B. Now see, if I go on adding more and more apples, right, you will have like 4a, 5a, 6a, and so on. Number of apples goes on increasing. Now, one simple thing. When I mix up all these apples, I'm going to blend it in and I'm going to give it in a glass to you. I'm going to make a juice of it and I'm going to serve you apple juice. I don't think you would mind drinking apple juice, right? Nobody would mind that. If I take these two bananas, I'm going to squeeze these bananas and I'm going to make a shake of it and I'm going to serve that shake to you. You wouldn't mind drinking that either, right? But over here, tell me one thing. Will you guys drink it if I mix apple juice and banana shake? Nobody would say a yes, right? Of course not. Miss, what are you talking about? These two combinations cannot be done. Remember that in algebra. Just like you cannot mix apple juice and banana shake together. You cannot mix this A and 2B. So over here, if I'm doing 2A plus 3A, definitely you can add up the numbers and write it as 5A, like 2 apples plus 3 apples. Add it up together, 5 apples. But over here, when I do 2A plus 3B, apples are different, bananas are different. Do not solve it. This is the simplest form that is given to you. That's one key concept that you have to keep in mind while you're doing algebra. Second concept that you have to keep in mind is about expression and equation. Now, over here, when we talk about algebra, the first thing that comes to your mind while doing algebra is that, Miss, we have letters in it. We have numbers in it, right? Anything. Now, if I combine these letters and numbers together, like 2x and 3y, right? If I write 3xy, combination of letters and numbers, these are called terms. When you add or subtract these terms together, this becomes an expression, a combination of my terms, a combination of my letters and numbers mixed up together. But if I write the same expression equals to something, equals to 20, for example, over here, right? This becomes an equation, everyone. And there is a difference between expression and equation. Remember that and do not get confused in the exam. When you have questions of expression, your question would be about simplifying. Simplify the expression. All right. Do not start solving for the values of x and y, because that's one common mistake that I have seen everyone doing. All right. And whenever you're given an equation, that's when the question is asking to solve the equation. Okay, I can see some participants are raising their hand, but please text me your answers. Text me your questions. All right. I am reading your questions. Don't worry about it. Okay, triangle. Okay, you guys are giving me your answers. If you have any questions, then you ask me your questions, of course. I am coming to your triangles part as well. Yes, yes, yes. Most of you guys are getting the correct answers. All right. To Hinesh is saying that he's loving it. I'm not sure what you're talking about because I'm reading your messages after the slight delay because I was explaining it. I'll explain it over here. Like I was saying, when we have an equation, the question would be about solving. And when we have an expression, the question is about simplifying. Now, again, this is a little very much into technicalities, right? What do we actually mean by solving and simplifying? Solving means you will have to calculate what your letter represents. What's this X? What's this Y? That's what you would have to calculate, all right? Whereas when we talk about simplifying, that means you just have to simplify it or, express it in the simplest form. You do not have to solve it. Venkat, I can see that you have raised your hand there. Please text me your question. All right. Okay. Now coming to this part, the question is about simplifying expression. Do not give your answer as a specific number. All right. So we have 2x minus 5 plus x plus x plus 3. Now see, if no number is mentioned, we make sure that we are writing it as well. So you have 2 x's over here, 1x over here, total 3x, and then another x over here, total 4x. And then you do the number with the number, negative 5 plus 3. That's going to give you your answer as negative 2. All right, so 4x minus 2. All right, you guys are getting correct answers, as I can see a few of you. All right, everyone, now for the rectangle. In rectangle, you're going to use the property of geometry. Opposite sides of a rectangle are equal. So this side would also be 3x plus 1. And this would also be x minus 5. Now, of course, you can add them up, but again, a shorter way to do it, add these sides up that are given to you and double it up. Always remember, for the rectangle, you can always add the length and width and then double them up because you're adding them twice. So over here, when I add these sides, you get 3x plus x, 4x. 1 take away 5, negative 4. And you're going to double it up. Brackets in math always mean multiplication. Again, a very simple concept now coming up when you're expanding brackets. Of course, you can do it by another way as well, but I have specifically chosen this way of expanding brackets because you should be aware of about this method as well. Now, when guests come at our place, you guys tell me, is it just you who's meeting the guest? Or is it just your mom who's going to meet the guest? Or is it that entire family of yours who's going to meet the guest? Now you would say, Miss, of course it's the entire family who's going to meet the guest. So this number that is written outside the brackets, that's our guest. All right. The number that is written inside the bracket, or the numbers that are written inside the brackets, those are our house members, right? So over here, this guest 2 will meet everyone. So it would meet 4x as well as 4. Brackets mean multiplication. So 2 times 4x, 8x. 2 times 4, negative 8, right? So this would be your final answer. Remember this guest and house member thingy that I have told you. That's how you expand your brackets. All right. So 8x minus 8 would be your final answer. Now I'm expecting everyone to give me your last answer. Come on, quick. Now, again, instead of adding these up, because of course in the square, all these sides are going to be equal. So are you really going to add them up 4 times? No. You know that we are going to, like you do not have to add them up separately 4 times. You just have to do 4 times 3x, take away 2y. Your house member and guest method over here. 4 times 3, 12x. And 4 times 2, 8y. Now, a really very important thing in math, negativity matters, right? If there is some negative person who comes up in your life and they are always not speaking good about something, it will leave an impact on you, no? So over here, this 4 was positive. This 2 over here is negative. Positive, negative become negative. Remember that. All right. So over here, you make sure that you're writing a minus sign in between. Do not write a plus 8y. All right. And that's it. The question was about simplifying. You do not have to solve it further. You cannot simplify it further. This would be your final answer. All right. Let's move on to the next question now, everyone. Over here, again, a little bit about, the geometry. The square and the octagon have the same perimeter if the square has an area of 64 centimeters square. Now, what did we learn about this area of the square? The squares, the side of the, if you square the side of the square, right, that's when you're going to get the area, which is 64. Now, which number can I square so that I get a 64? You get 8, right? So the side length must be 8. So technically, what's the perimeter of square that you're going to have? Perimeter would be 8 plus 8 plus 8 plus 8. You're adding 8 4 times. So the perimeter becomes 32 centimeter, right? Now we are given that the perimeter of the square and the perimeter of this hexagon the octagon that we have, these are same, right? So over here, this 32 is divided in how many parts? 8 parts. So 32 divided by 8. That means each side of the octagon represents 4 centimeter, right? So if this entire thing is 4 centimeter, what's the radius of the circle? Over here, learn one simple thing. When we talk about the radius of the circle, like I said, my drawing skills are not really great, but thanks, I have Zoom whiteboard. When I'm drawing this circle, what's the radius actually representing? Radius represents the distance between the center to any point on the boundary of the circle. This is the radius, right? But if from the center again, I'm taking another side as well, right? So what does this represent? From point O, although this is a straight line, so this represents the radius. This also represents radius, OA and OB. These are my two lengths. Both of them represent the radius, right? So if I want to figure out the length of AB, you're adding up the radius twice. So x plus x, 2x. Similarly, r plus r, you're adding it twice, 2r. This is what's going to give you the diameter. Remember this, diameter is always double of the radius. Or you can also say that radius is basically half of the diameter, right? So you got the diameter as 4. That means the radius is 2 centimeters, half of it. All right. Okay, Sarah, I just read your question, but I've already explained what is radius. So I hope you understood this. Tell me if anyone has any doubt. Sarah, do you get it now? That what do we mean by radius over here now? Radius is basically the length or the distance between the center point of the circle to any point on the boundary of the circle. All right. All right. Yes, now you guys are getting it. Good. Okay. Now moving on to the next question. Everyone ready for the next question? Tell me. Is everyone ready? Yes. Okay. So here is one question. I want you guys to attempt this question very quickly. Try it out. This one is a slightly, like a little difficult, I would agree. Not very difficult. You can try it out. Waiting for everyone to try it out. You guys are texting. Yeah, guys are texting your answers as well. Okay. Okay. So I've received 2 answers which are very similar. I'm giving you guys time. Nobody has texted me the correct answer till now. If in case your internet broke anywhere in between, and this is a recorded session, that, right? You can contact the management, and you can talk to them if they can provide you the recording of this particular video. I think it would be uploaded on YouTube as well, but still you can talk to the management about it in case you miss out any part. All right. Okay. All right. You guys are getting 120. Why are you guys getting 120 as your answer? Okay, yeah, actually. Okay. Those of you who have calculated the answer for red cars, please calculate your answer for blue cars as well. Okay. All right. I can see some of you have given me the answer. Some of you do not know how to do it. Let's discuss it. Now, when we talk about ratios, first of all, what do we understand by ratios over here? Now, see, when we talk about ratios, it's like if I'm making a cup of coffee for myself, right? I'm adding 1 teaspoon of coffee, and I have a sweet tooth, I would agree. So I'm going to add 2 teaspoons of sugar. All right. But if I want to make 10 cups of coffee, of course, I'm not going to just add 1 teaspoon of coffee and 2 teaspoons of sugar. For 10 cups, I would need 10 teaspoons of coffee and 20 teaspoons of sugar, right? That's to maintain the proportion, right? What's the difference between fraction and ratio that we have over here? In fraction, if I write 1 over 2, this 2 represents the total, right? But when I'm mentioning that in a ratio format, your total is given by adding these proportions that we have. So 1 plus 2, 3 is the total. Please do not mix up the concept of ratios and fractions. I know most of the rules that you'd be doing, these run parallel, simplification of your ratios and everything. But make sure that you have your concept clear. It's not exactly the same as fractions. All right. Now, when I come to this question, the ratio of white to blue cars, no, white to red cars. Let me write it as red to white. I'll tell you why. I have, for every 5 red cars, I have 2 white cars, right? Now the ratio for white to blue. The thing is that over here, the common thing that we have in these 2 statements is about white cars. So I'm trying to keep them on the same side. That's why instead of writing the ratio of white to red, I have written red to white. All right. Now the ratio for white to blue cars is given as 3:30. Now, the thing is that for every 5 red cars, I have 2 white cars. For every 3 white cars, I have 13 blue cars. Your task is to make sure that the number of white cars that you have to keep them the same so that you can compare your ratios. How do I get this 2 and 3 same? Multiply by a certain number. If I need a 3, a multiple of 3, you can multiply this first ratio by 3. And over here, if I need a multiple of 2, you can multiply it by 2. 2 times 3 gives you 6, right? So over here, 15 is to 6. And over here, 6 is to 26. Now you see your ratio is same, right? I mean, the number of white cars that we have, they are the same. So you can compare it now. Altogether, there are 376 white cars, 376 white, red, and blue car. Now over here, when we do something like 2 is to, let's say, 4, this ratio is same as 1 is to 2, right? Just like the example of coffee and sugar that I gave you. 1 is to 2 was same as 10 is to 20. It was just simplified. So this ratio also, the numbers have increased, although, but actually the units, the proportions, they are the same. Also, all right. So over here, if I talk about the total, you can say that we have some x over here. We have 15, some multiple of 15 number of red cars. How many white cars do we have? Some multiple of 6. How many blue cars do we have? Some multiple of 26, right? So this total must add up to 376. That's what we are having. How do we calculate it? Add up, like just I told you about algebra. So you'd be doing 47x equals 376. Now to simplify your equation, to solve your equation, always follow the method of doing the opposite, inverse operations. 47 is being multiplied by x. What's the opposite of multiplication? That's division, right? So you would divide 376 by 47. So this comes out to be equals to 8. Now, your 8 is not your answer. Do not leave it over here, please. All right. How many red cars do we have? We have some multiple of 15, right? What multiple of 15? 15 times 8. That's what gives you your red cars. So that's how you're going to get 120 cars. This is about your red cars. Similarly, for white cars, you would do 6 times 8. For blue cars, you would do 26 times 8. All right, I hope this method is clear to every one of you. Yes, Yadi, it would be 15 is to 6 is to 26 if you're writing them all together for red, white, and blue respectively. Correct. You guys can take a quick screenshot as well. All right, and I hope you guys understood this. This was the last question for today. All right, and I'm just going to show you more questions that you'd be doing in our upcoming classes with us, right? 1 second. Why would we not write 6x twice in the first question? That's a question that has been asked. Over here, we are combining the ratios. So I'm combining red cars, white cars, blue cars. That was the point. So that we can combine them, I needed the same number. So that's why 15 is to 6 is to 26, right? So that's why I have written 6x only once. I have not written it twice. All right. Okay. Now, I'm just showing you the kinds of questions. There are more questions that you can do. If you want, you can take quick screenshots. But like I said, you will have the, this is a recorded session. So later on, you can ask the management to forward you the homework questions that I'm giving you. These are just some practice questions that I'm showing you. You have been given a mock test, right? You have to make sure that you're practicing it out. All right, practice that mock test. These are geometry questions, more questions, of course, that we'll be doing in our upcoming classes. This is a question of simultaneous equations that I was telling you about. Algebra, important. And these are the kinds of questions where it gets a little tricky as well. All right, so that's what you'd be learning with me in the classes. So now, guys, you guys are interested in taking online classes or offline classes, make sure that you are contacting the numbers that are given on the screen. I have told you that in mathematics, how we are going to divide our classes in various sections. Number one, numbers, where you'd be learning about mental math, fractions, decimals, percentages. Then you would be learning about measurements, that is areas, volumes. Number three, algebra, the word problems, simultaneous equations, solving and simplifying expressions. Then number 4, data handling. Number 5, geometry. And then at the end, we are going to do a mock test as well. Once we have done the mock test, we'll be taking our doubt sessions as well. On the, on your chat box, when you see over here, those of you who can see the screen, on the chat box, we have already updated you about the link as well. Guys, it's a humble request from my end. Please make sure that you are filling that feedback form, all right? And provide us your valuable feedback. And make sure that you do not forget to download the answer key, all right? You should know that if you are doing the answers correctly or not. You have your mock test. Make sure that you download the answer keys as well. So in the chat box, tell me, did you guys enjoy today's session? Did you guys learn? I hope you guys did. I mean, one second. Okay, you guys are saying yes. You can also let me know if you have any queries anywhere. All right. If any topic that you feel is difficult, okay, you guys are saying yes. All right. All right. You guys have learned it. So really very thank you to join us today. All right. I enjoyed it. Okay. All right. All right. All right, the lesson was awesome. Okay, so please provide your valuable feedbacks in the chat box. I mean, in the feedback form that is given to you. All right, and again, like I said, in case you have any query, you can text it. Also, one very important thing for, you would be having an English lesson tomorrow at 5 p.m. All right, that would be for Tiffins. So make sure that you contact on these numbers and get yourselves the links that you'd be needing for the class. All right, 5 p.m. English lesson. I hope I'm okay with that. You guys understood that, right? Yes. All right. So thank you so much for joining me today, dear everyone. All right. Bye, everyone. That would be all for today. Practice the questions that have been given to you. All right. Bye-bye, everyone. Do not forget to join your English lesson tomorrow at 5 o'clock. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.